What's up, Nerd World Order? So, it's time for the spoiler-free review of Black Panther. Now, this is the Nerd World Order spoiler-free review, which means that as a nerd, there's a lot of things that I look for in a movie, whether it be a superhero movie, an action movie, a fantasy movie, whatever the case may be. I look for important things in a movie as a nerd. Now, before I get started with the actual review of the Black Panther, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about, the cultural significance of this movie. Or, hey, is this movie really going to live up to the hype? Well, first of all, I'd like to talk about the fact that I've never been a Black Panther fan. I read a few Black Panther comic books, didn't like it that much. There was a Black Panther cartoon, which was just okay. So overall, however, Black Panther did kick ass in the Civil War movie, so, give him props there. But that being said, not a huge Black Panther fan. What's up, Mac? What's up, Mark? Greetings from the U.S. Great to see you on board, buddy. And so basically, looking at the Black Panther, I have to say, wasn't a huge fan. But let's talk about the quote-unquote cultural significance of this movie. So yes, Mac, I know, if you love this shirt, and I know you do, you know where to go. Anyway, so talking about the cultural significance of this movie. So during the 1990s, there's another superhero movie which we have to talk about to truly understand the cultural significance of Black Panther. That movie is Spawn. Now, the reason that Spawn's important and actually relates directly to Black Panther is because Spawn was a movie based on a comic book that actually had a black protagonist as the hero. However, when the creator of the comic book, Todd McFarlane, was given a budget, he was told that he would receive more money to make the movie if he in fact changed one integral part about the character. As you can probably all imagine, it's the fact that the studio wanted to change Spawn from being an African American character to being a white character in order to get more people into the movie theaters. Now, huge props to Todd McFarlane, because Todd said, no, I'm not going to do that. This is the way the character was written. This is the way he's going to be. Now, flash forward in the time machine to 2018, we have a movie that's got a primarily black cast, obviously an African-American hero, and they're changing very little about this character. The cultural significance is this character is one that on his own stands as a character, but more importantly, the African-American hero is being recognized as something that's marketable. So that's my soapbox. That's the cultural significance of Spawn. Flash forward to Black Panther. Now, as a nerd, there are 4 very important things that I look for in a movie in order to determine whether it's going to be good or not. As a nerd, we look for action, we look for acting, we look for special effects, and you gotta have a good story, because as nerds, whether you're reading comic books, watching movies, or reading regular books, we know a good story when we see it. So of course, you gotta have a good story. So this is the Nerd World Order spoiler-free review of Black Panther. So the first thing we need to talk about is the action. Now, was the action great? Absolutely. And we knew the action was going to be great because we saw a lot of the action presented in the movie during the previews. However, this movie did not let us down. There were great fight scenes. There were great fight scenes in Africa, Wakanda. There were great fight scenes in other countries. And there were great fight scenes at the end of the movie, whether it be with armies or whether it be overall with, obviously, the protagonist and also the antagonist. Great fight scenes in this movie, great chase scenes in this movie, so one very strong nerd flag for the action in the Black Panther. So let's move on to the second point, and that's going to be the overall acting in this movie. Give me just a second. Boom! Okay, so the next thing we have to look at, which is the overall acting in the movie. Acting was incredible. Now, this movie had an all-star stellar cast, whether it be Angela Bassett, whether it be Lupita Nyong'o, whether it be Chadwick Boseman, whether it be Michael B. Jordan, across the board, everyone in this movie completely nailed it as far as the acting goes. Now, I don't know too much about Chadwick Boseman. Of course, he's had other movies he's been in, the Jackie Robinson movie, he's had the James Brown movie, but across the board, that dude can act. He nailed it. As far as I'm concerned, he is King T'Challa. As far as I'm concerned, this dude is from Africa. You cannot convince me otherwise. This dude is always on point on the acting. Michael B. Jordan is a badass. There's no other way around it. In the movie, I bought his character, I bought his motivation, I bought where he was coming from. So, Matt, how do you like the shirt, Mac? Wardrobe change, NWO style. So, overall, the acting in the movie was absolutely phenomenal. Have to say, I love the acting. There was one character, I really didn't think he was necessary, but at the same time, even he pulled off his role. Ulysses Claw, Andy Serkis, badass actor. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of him in the movie, but overall, Andy Serkis, Chadwick Boseman, Lupita Nyong'o, Angela Bassett, everybody nailed it. So great job on the acting. One very strong nerd flag. Well, hold on just one second. What's up, Nerd World Order? Because if you love the shirts, and I know you do, you can find this shirt and plenty of other NWO shirts at IamNWO.com. So let's get on to the next point, which is going to be the special effects. Now, the thing about the special effects in any movie, any sci-fi movie, superhero movie, things of that nature is there a suspension of disbelief where you believe that these actors are interacting with things which simply are not there? In this movie, you have to consider that about, let's say, 90% of the backgrounds, 100% of all the vehicles, and pretty much a lot of the times when you're looking at the heroes, they're not really there. And that suspension of disbelief is pulled off amazingly with the special effects in this movie. Now, that being said, one thing that I think in almost every Marvel movie, there's a scene where you look at it and you're like, oh, come on, that looks horrible. And yes, it did have that moment. I think if you look back on Spider-Man movies, there's a scene where Spider-Man is standing on a building or something, and you're like, oh my god, come on, that looks horrible. Yes, this movie did have that horrible CGI scene where they went completely CGI and it looked like CGI garbage. That being said, I was completely immersed. And think about it, Wakanda is a technologically advanced nation, which means all the backgrounds have to be completely high-tech, everything of that nature, and I bought it 100%. Everything they interacted with looked awesome. Now let's get on to the story. Probably the most important part of any movie for a nerd is going to be the story. Now, I vacillated a little bit on this one because did it have predictable moments? Absolutely. But there were also moments in this movie where I was like, whoa! I did not see that coming. My little nerd brain was completely put into a fog of, hey, I'm so into this story, I completely missed when they hit you with, boom! Didn't catch that, didn't see that coming, and there were parts of this movie that I thoroughly enjoyed because I wasn't expecting stuff to happen. Now that being said, can I honestly say, like, is it predictable? Yes. Is it going to be around the same predictability of any other Marvel movie? Yes. Why? Because we know that Cap, Iron Man, Hulk, whomever, they're going to have that scene where, I'm dead, but I'm not really dead, blah, blah, blah. Right? Come on. We all know that. Other than that, not a very predictable movie. So, and the story, from beginning, it's woven in, at the end, it all makes sense. It's basically like a coming-of-age type story. You're gonna love this story. You're going to be completely immersed in this story. So in case you haven't noticed Nerd World Order, if you're keeping track, we have one nerd flag for the acting, one nerd flag for the action, one nerd flag for the special effects, and count them 4 total nerd flags because this story delivers, giving you 4 strong nerd flags for Black Panther. So overall, Nerd World Order, does this movie live up to the hype? Question mark. The answer is yes, it does. Completely love this movie. I walked in not being a big fan of Black Panther, having enjoyed him in Civil War, but overall thinking, hey, is it going to be as good as Captain America Winter Soldier, which happens to be the best Marvel movie ever made? No, it's not as good as Captain America Winter Soldier, which is the best Marvel movie ever made. But I now have to put Black Panther in the top 5 Marvel movies, so it was definitely a great movie. So overall, 4 strong nerd flags for this movie. I'd recommend that all of you see it. I would also recommend that you see it soon because, yeah, it's a great movie. Definitely worth seeing. I'm probably going to watch it again tomorrow. And hey, it's a 3-day weekend for me, so y'all can catch me at the movie theater this weekend checking out Black Panther. So until next time, I am NWO. We are NWO. Let your nerd flag fly. See ya.